Hello, everyone. My name is Nicholas E. Sawka, and I'm the Chief Evangelist at WonderWord, VoiceSpark Live host, and a Voice First influencer. Today, I'm going to talk to you about voice gaming. Gaming for one, gaming for all. I'd also like to thank Ahmed for having me on as a presenter at Lingofest and allowing me to use his platform. I'd also like to thank PopTell and VoicesPark Live as well. So our objectives for today, you're going to find out a little bit about me. You're going to see some examples of voice gaming. You're going to know what you need in order to make a voice game. You're going to know who you're building for. You're going to understand sonic branding and brand strategy, some best practices that I've noticed for voice gaming, and also who can help you in your journey. And little spoiler alert, it's PopTell and VoicesPark. So that is my beautiful face right there. My mother always said I had a face for radio. So a little bit about me. I'm a 20-year retired veteran of the U.S. Coast Guard. I worked in command centers all of my career, and one of my primary duties was to analyze voice transmissions. I'm a father, a husband, a son, a brother from Brownsville, Pennsylvania, in the southwest part of the state. Very small town, about 3,500 people total population. I was part of the beta release program for the original Echo back in 2015. I started developing for voice back in 2017 on the Alexa platform, and I've taken part in the creation of over 400 Alexa skills and about 5 Google actions. I'm the podcast host of VoiceSpark Live, and I am the chief voice advocate / evangelist for WonderWord. And WonderWord is a company out of Boden, Sweden. And Boden is about 10 miles away from the Arctic Circle. So they get to see some really cool visuals from the Aurora Borealis. Now, some of you may think, what does this guy know about voice? What does he know about gaming? Well, on my YouTube channel, VoiceSpark Live, I've come close to reviewing nearly 100 voice applications, games, so on and so forth. So I really enjoy tech and I love video games. And whenever you put both of these together, it makes for a really cool experience for the end user. Now picture yourself drying dishes, driving to work, or laying in your bed trying to relax. These are places where voice gaming can provide additional value. Voice games only require a fraction of your time and attention, not like traditional games where they're geared more towards hand and eye coordination. Here's some examples of voice gaming. Word Snatch, created by Mark Tucker. I love it. It is a skill that is available on Amazon, Google, and Samsung Bixby. It's cross-platform. It has beautiful graphics, good sonic branding with sound effects, and it's also multiplayer. So I would definitely give this one a try if you like games like Scrabble and stuff like that. He really put a lot of hard work and effort into it. And it's just a fine example of voice gaming. Detective X is another. Detective X was created by Budgie and Clint McLean, and Budgie used professional voiceovers, sonic branding, and they created a story that takes you about 15 to 20 minutes to get through. So it's really good on time. It doesn't try to keep you locked in for hours on end. And then Journey 3000 is actually a choose your own adventure book called Journey to the Year 3000. And the developer was able to secure the rights to this and had a professional voiceover artist come in and recreate this entire choose your own adventure book from, I think it was from the mid 80s, early 80s. somewhere in the 80s, whenever the book came out. So this is phenomenal. And it has different paths and different choices and so on and so forth. And then Escape 63rd and Wallace is survival horror. And it's based off of true events that took place at the World's Fair in 1893. And it was the events with H.H. Holmes, where he was kidnapping people from the hotel that he owned and was conducting experiments on them. Your objective is to locate your sister and rescue her from his clutches. And the story is broken up into 4 different chapters. Each chapter is equipped with puzzles, sonic branding, beautiful imagery, so on and so forth. But these are just a few examples. There are other single and multiplayer games that have made a huge impact on the voice community. Another game that comes to mind is Question of the Day, which also has a mobile app to accompany the voice versions of the game. Remember, you should be thinking about how to expand your games to be reached by the total maximum number of people possible. So if you can develop a mobile app and you can develop a voice app, why not combine and connect those two somehow? Why not design for Google Assistant, Samsung Bixby, and so on and so forth? So here's some things you need in order to make a voice game. You need a compelling story. If you're going to go the choose your own adventure route, you need a compelling story. Or you need a game that can be played in less than a minute. So Question of the Day is good because it's a question of the day, right? You're in, you're out, bing, boom, you're done. Come back tomorrow, you've got your streak, and they're tracking your streak, and everything's fine. Do your research and understand how different programmings work. What I mean by that is that if you're going to create something that's cross-platform, you want to make sure the experience is the same on Google Assistant as it is on Amazon Alexa and as it is on Samsung Bixby. Do your homework, because on Google Assistant they use Canvas, and on Amazon Alexa they use the Alexa presentation language. Both of them are completely different, and both of them will require you to either adapt to their development style or create your own, which would be even more challenging. Think small and keep it simple, stupid. That's one of my favorite sayings. I love that. Keep it simple, stupid. And then think MVP. What is the most viable product? Because the most valuable asset that any of us have is our time, right? So if we continue to create products that people don't want or that aren't having an effect, well, then we're wasting our most valuable asset, which is our time. So here's some notes that I took based on this slide. Think out the process. Use a cause and effect approach to create a flow chart to map out the decisions the users can take. Once done, take a look at how the whole process works from start to finish. The ins, the outs, the choices, the cause and effect. Seeing things from a high level will allow you to see possible mistakes and prevent potential bottlenecks in the flow of the conversation. Conduct research on the subject you want to write about and learn about, and ultimately remember that Rome wasn't built overnight, and think about how you can expand the skill later on after you've already published it. Who am I building for? Everyone, everywhere, at any time. Remember, buttons are choices and choices are numbers when creating in a multimodal environment. And what I mean by that is that when you take a look at a screen and it's using Alexa presentation language and there's actual buttons that you can press, those are choices. But whenever the screen's not there and you're driving in your car, those choices are numbers. So make sure that you're using that and associating that properly whenever you're creating in a multimodal environment. The most successful voice games are designed to be played anywhere by anyone. Keep in mind that images play an important role. It might be voice first, but it should never be voice only. You want to make sure that the user has the ability to play the game in their car or in front of their Fire TV. Also, keep in note that a game should be designed with people who have a visual impairment in mind. There are nearly 5 million people that have visual impairments in the United States alone. So think about those numbers. You want to make sure that your game can be enjoyed by as many people as possible. Understanding Sonic branding and brand strategy. So, Sonic branding is key, and I suggest you create a jingle or some sort of sound effect that's going to make your game pop. And also have a brand strategy. You want to think outside of the box and Sonic enable your brand. So, here's some interesting stories that I have pertaining to Sonic branding and brand strategy. So every time I go to the gas station and they ring up my order, if it's a certain machine or device, it will make a sound that's similar to the Sonic the Hedgehog collecting rings, like ding, ding, ding. And I associate those two sound clips and I think of Sonic, and I would use the same principle in Sonic branding. You want to get something that will burrow itself into somebody's head, and they'll either want to come back, and they're going to want to come back to hear that or to associate your product with that jingle. The other thing I want to talk about is brand strategy. We talked about Detective X earlier, and Detective X actually released a soundtrack for their game on iTunes. Get creative with your outreach. For the city that I designed a skill for, we sent out flyers to everyone in the community through the mail, not email, through the actual snail mail, in order to make sure that people had this flyer physically in their hand in order to drive awareness. These are the things that you want to think about. These are how you want to create a brand strategy that will bring people into the fold. In fact, whenever I was building that city skill, I had to walk one of the people through how to get to the skill store in order to enable it. And she was one of the approving officials on the project. So she didn't even know a skill store existed. So you definitely want to go with that approach. Best practices for voice games. These are some of the best practices that I've seen in the industry when it comes to user retention and creating a good customer experience. You got to use voices besides Alexa. The best experiences break the traditional mold. Get voiceover actors. Record the lines of dialogue yourself. Who knows? Use Amazon Polly. They offer like 33 voices. Ensure that your game or interactive story uses session management in order to save progress. You might think this is a no-brainer, but you'd be surprised. So you want to make sure that people's stats, streaks, leaderboards all sync up perfectly. Use visuals. You have the ability to insert images into your skill, into your Google Action, into your Samsung Bixby. Don't waste that real estate. It's very, very, very important that you have images that pop, that the user will associate with your brand and or skill. Create leaderboards. You got to have some way in order to track scores and streaks. And you got to develop a way to spark competition. People love being number one, and people are naturally competitive. This is going to easily increase your usage and user retention. If you have an interactive story with more than one ending or several paths to choose from, you want to think about tracking the progress. This gives the user a carrot to chase and will have them coming back to finish and complete all of the game. A primary example of this is Journey 3000, like we had talked about before. It had 32 different endings and kept track of your percentage of completion. So when I go into that game, it says, you've seen, or you've achieved 32 of the possible 32 endings, and you've completed 96% of the game. Well, for me, I'm effectively done with the game at that point. So with that being said, you want to figure out a way in order to entice people to use the game and to come back for more. And I believe statistics is the way to do that. Okay, so PopTell and Voicespark to the rescue. So what PopTell will do is they will cover and catalog your game if it meets or exceeds our certain requirements. This will push your skill, your action, or interactive story to thousands of users that will use our site in order to keep up on the voice gaming industry. So, essentially, what PopTell is striving to be is the IGN or the Game Pro of voice gaming. So think about that. If you have a game that you're thinking about releasing, or you're releasing another level or downloadable content or whatever, in-skill purchases, let us know about it. We'll write a news piece on it. We'll put it up on the site. We will help you engage your audience and reach new customers. Now, what Voicespark does is we produce 5 to 10 minute YouTube videos that are geared to constructive feedback and giving the developer well-needed exposure and publicity. We all know that this is a problem in the community. You build something, and if you build it, they may or may not come. It's not for certain that they will come, and it's left up to the developer and or company to find that brand strategy again. So with us, what we do is we have an entire YouTube channel where we have close to 100 skill previews, where we go through and we actually, again, provide that constructive feedback to the developer and or company. So VSL will also have the developer and or business owner on their podcast to give them extra exposure to the voice community. And then finally, win an award. So Voicespark Live also enters every game or skill into its annual award show, the Sparkies. The Sparkies take place every November. The Sparky is a Sparky is awarded based on the community voting and the raw score rating that it received during the video review. So what we wanted to get away from was just a popularity contest. You get your mom, your grandma, they submit their email addresses. Next thing you know, you win. We wanted to make sure that people were winning on merit, but also winning because their skills were popular. So emails do play a factor, but also the raw score that's given plays a major factor in whether or not they're within the top 3 that get the awards. Last year, we had Among the Stars win #1 by Vox Protocol. Curse Painting win the Bronze Award, or the Silver Award, and the Bronze Award went to Detective X, Clint McLean's skill. So we had gold, silver, and bronze, and we sent them out nice column-style trophies that they could display, and you've probably seen a couple of them on social media. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, let's connect. On the web, we are at poptell.com. Search PopTell on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn and follow us. We're on the web at voicespark.live and search Voicespark Live on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Or you can email me directly at nicksawka@wonderword.net. Now, I went through and tried to make sure that all the misspellings were out of there and everything made sense. but I'm sure there's probably a couple lurking around here or there. I'm good for at least one or two misspellings. I tend to write a little bit more quicker than or I tend to think a little bit more quicker than I write. So with that being said, I would just like to say thank you to everyone again for watching this. And also, I'd like to say thank you to Ahmed for having me on again. And I'd like to thank the staff at WitLingo and Lingofest for putting this on. Thanks again, and have a great day.